Hello and welcome to Up Your Wine Game. Season's greetings, happy holidays, all that good stuff. Today we are tasting bubbles. Not just any old bubbles, we are tasting champagne. I love sparkling wine. I love champagne. One of the few wines that you can drink from start to finish with any meal, right? From salad to dessert and everything in between. Sparkling wine does it, but today we're doing actual champagne. So, rule of thumb, all champagne is sparkling wine, but not all sparkling wine is champagne, right? Champagne is just an area within France. That sparkling wine that's made with grapes that come from within that area, that could be called champagne. Everything else is sparkling wine. Prosecco, Cava, all that stuff is sparkling wine. Love it just as, I can't say just as much. Champagne's my jam. But love Cava, love Prosecco. It's affordable, it's a great everyday drinker. So, let's do this. Tasting two champagnes. We're gonna do a little comparison because there is some price variation on these two. But I just love champagne. It's one of the, outside of Italian wine, it's one of the few wines that I will spend real money on. Like I will spend real money on champagne because there is no substitute. For every other kind of wine I like, I'm looking for value always. And there is value in champagne as well, don't get me wrong. But yeah, I'll spend real money on champagne because there's just no substitutions, kind of like a Porsche. Anyway, let us start with these bubbles. And boom. Without getting all technical, let's just say that the bubbles that are in champagne come naturally, as opposed to the bubbles that come from, say, Cava, or not Cava, that's Method Champenoise. This is the part you can't really edit. Jesus. Get at these muscle, man. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Porca miseria. Oh, here we go. Okay, we got it. And we're gonna pour this. Ooh, that's a lot of bubbles. So like I was saying, the bubbles that come from champagne are naturally fermented in the bottle. The stuff that's from Prosecco, they basically make a big tank of it and then they pump it full of gas and that gives it its bubbles, right? So that, and that's why, most Prosecco is a fraction of the price of champagne. That's one of the reasons. Anyway, this is interesting here because here I can see right off the bat there's a color differentiation. This almost has a salmon-y pink hue to it, even though this is not a rosé champagne. But basically what that tells me is there's probably a good chunk of Pinot Noir that was used to make this champagne. This one more crystalline, so I'm assuming that there's going to be more Chardonnay influence here. So just so that you know, there are 3 allowed varietals, 3 grapes that can be used to make champagne: Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Pinot Meunier, right? Those are the 3. Everything else, out. So most champagne at the store that you're gonna see is primarily going to be based on Chardonnay because it is the easiest to grow. Champagne is marked by very bright and high acidity, which means champagne is cold, right? It's northeast, if I'm not mistaken, of Paris. It's freaking cold there, and they're picking this early. So these grapes come in super, super high in acid. That's what gives champagne its brisk acidity, which I just friggin' love. Anyway, so again, the color on this one, there's a salmonish hue to it, so I'm gonna assume maybe that there was some Pinot Noir used to make this. Not 100%. That's my assumption. But let's see what it. So it's a fruity. There's a good amount of primary fruit, like fresh apple, that comes out of that. That comes out of the nose on this. Whereas this one, I'm getting more toasty brioche. On this one over here, more floral, toasty. And champagne is all about, I just like drinking it on its own. I like drinking it with food, but it's about the aroma, and it comes in so many different styles. Everything from old school where there's that heavy toast and It's like a steak lover's, champagne, all the way to the very delicate, and it's just something that's sipping on its own. It's just satiny and just everything in between. Love it, dig it. But much more simple kind of aromas on this first one here. Again, I'm going back to apple, yellow apple on this. And the second one, there is a brioche toasty bit, like almost like a little slight oaky component on this. The flavors on the first, it carries through. So what I got on the nose, that whole apple bit, carries through on the palate. It's simple, it's clean, it leans more towards elegant than rustic. Finishes bone dry as it should. Good amount of fruit, appealing. I could sit around and drink this. It's on the lighter style. I could just sit around and drink this all day. It doesn't make me work at all, nor should any champagne, but it doesn't give me much to really even think about as well. It's not a very thought-provoking champagne. One of the things I love about especially small grower champagnes, like you take a sip and it just takes you on a mental ride, right? And this ain't doing that, but that's okay. Because it's doing, I can sit around and have this with friggin' popcorn, risotto. I don't know why I'm going down those roads. Probably because I had risotto last week for dinner. And this would have been fantastic because it was mushroom risotto, right? So, really, really good. I mean, it's good. Of course, I know what's in these behind Santa's little helpers here. You don't. But I'm just describing the wine. But anyway, this is really good. I mean, this makes me want to just drink more of it. So it invites you to drink. Invita a bere, as they would say in Italy. It just invites you to drink. So let's go to the second one. Yeah, much more serious nose on this one here. This is more traditional champagne nose, in my opinion. Hints of oak, but not oaky. Simple, clean, bright, brisk, crisp. Hold on. Yeah, this one's more sharp. This one, definitely more elegant. Definitely more going on here. But it's also kind of simple. It's also kind of simple, and it finishes kind of short relative to this one. I feel like this one, way more serious nose, a way better attack, right? On the attack, it's there, it's searing, it's piercing. There's some focus to this wine, and then it just kind of goes, and then it just kind of stops. Whereas this one, the attack is softer, but I feel like the finish is a little bit more elegant on the first one. Yeah, that apple is persistent though, that yellow apple on the nose. That's good. I want to drink more of this. This one, maybe because it's a softer attack, and so I'm like, my palate is like, okay, get another hit of that. Whereas this one, the attack is really piercing, and it's like, ooh, like if you're having this with food. But then the finish is just, it falls flat. Not that it's flat, like it runs out of bubbles, but it just, the finish is like, it attacks and then it stops. Whereas this lingers and it's more pleasant. I feel like this is a more pleasant drinking experience, whereas this one's maybe a better, like if you were having a toast, okay, great. But then if I had to keep drinking it, I think I would prefer drinking the first one. But in a tasting, if I were really sitting down and reviewing a wine, interesting. I mean, this definitely smells more like champagne. and it's got that brisk attack. But this is less prototypical, but I think more enjoyable drinking, quite honestly. And don't get me wrong, I can sit around and drink champagne all day. Not that I suggest that, but I'm just saying I could. Yeah, I don't know. I think we're kind of splitting hairs here. They're both good. I see the merits. They're very different in style. There's merit in both of these wines. But let me just take off my wine professional hat and then just drink it. It's just, this one's just softer. This one's softer. It's got all the acid. Don't take soft as it's not a. This one's softer and invites me to drink. This one smells definitely more like champagne, if there's a typical smell, which there is, but this smells more like champagne. Like, I'm not sure I would necessarily smell this and say, oh, that's definitely champagne, whereas this I would say, okay, this is definitely champagne. But then it's like it's good, but it just falls off. It just, the finish, and it doesn't, I keep going back to this. Anyway, here's the big reveal, folks. I got both of these wines at Costco. This is the Kirkland champagne, which is $19.99. This, my friends, is America's favorite Veuve Clicquot, right? Both from Champagne, both probably made down the road from one another. $19.99, $59.99. So you do the math, and that's a good price, or $49, whatever the hell it is. It's if you go to Costco, it's $55. And full disclosure, I traded some wine to get this because I'm not paying for Veuve Clicquot. It's just not going to happen. But if you go to most stores, it's going to be $75 easy. This is $19.99 all day at Costco. So to me, this is kind of a no-brainer. I know a lot of you need to bring champagne or sparkling wine or whatever to holiday parties. If you need to impress your friends and let them know that you spent $60, then by all means, get the Veuve Clicquot. But if you're going to sit around, if you're going to go to a dinner party and you need to bring something that you actually want to drink, hell, get 2 bottles of this champagne that everyone will enjoy just as much, and buy a sweater, you know, and put it over it, and don't tell people what it is. Tell people it's Veuve Clicquot, but you want to keep the wine warm. Just kidding. But really, I mean, I just tasted these wines. I haven't had Veuve in a while because I gave up on this wine. When I first got into the business, this was $24.99 all day, every day, as was Moet, Rotor, and the whole bit. So for $25, and it used to be actually really good for $25. But we're talking many moons ago, back when I had hair, big golden locks. But yeah, fast forward, 2023. $60, $70 bottle of wine, $19.99. This is a no-brainer. Kirkland wins big at a $20 champagne. It is what it is, kids. Get your Veuve if you want to. To me, it's a waste of money. But I get it. Sometimes you have to give a gift. It needs to be a certain amount. You need to impress, blah, blah, blah. But if it's just you and you enjoy sparkling wine, all day for $20, because good Lord knows at this point La Marca's probably $15, so for $5 more you get real champagne. Like, do your thing. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. That's the big reveal. $20 champagne from Kirkland, every day, all day. Highly recommended. Veuve Clicquot, it's your money. Anyway, be good. Happy holidays. Take care.